In Kenyan politics, all politicians have dark past. They have so many dark histories and dealings that they would not want them known. It is politicians on both sides, and that is where we Kenyans go wrong. Whereby one says that Kwatenge is this and that, and then people say, why have you said something wrong on this side? Why don't you say something wrong on people from the other side? Well, if I say on one side, then, and you know the other side, continue, just continue, because I know very few politicians do not have skeletons in their cupboards. People like Kibaki, and to some extent, people like Gigi Karaoke. Gigi Karaoke spent a lot of years in politics, and when he was made Minister of State in the office of the President, he didn't know that there were funny things going on. So, in short, I'm saying all politicians have dark whatever. If you find anybody is leaning to one side, if you so believe, and you have facts about the other side, you are free to air them. This is a holistic thing about all politicians in all political sides. They have a lot of things that they don't want people to know, and they don't want KRA to know, and they don't want the DCI to know. They don't want anti-corruption to know, and they don't want you to know, and they don't want me to know. You'll find that when Gama Pinto died, there was a lot of phone calls. His wife was summoned to his house. A lot of close friends came, kina Murumbi, Joseph Murumbi, kina nani wale. Suddenly, somebody who was very close to Gama Pinto, I'm telling you of the last minutes, or the first minutes after Pinto had died. The wife was called. She went there. She was still confused, went to the vehicle, found him lying there dead. They were now looking for an ambulance. She was shocked. Somebody led her to the house at the back of the door. You understand? So she was in that mood. And then somebody who was very known to Gama Pinto went to one of the rooms, came out with a briefcase, opened the briefcase. There was a lot of papers there, lighted a bonfire there. Mrs. Pinto was confused. She did not know whether to stop him. She did not know what to do. She was just too confused to do anything, and she froze. Here she is. She has just confirmed her husband is dead. She's seated there. A very close friend of her husband has come, taken a briefcase full of it. Immediately after the friend had confirmed Gama Pinto was dead, lit a bonfire using typed documents which were in the briefcase, and we will never know the contents of those. Take a few years later, and I'm jumping a lot of assassination cases because what I'm saying are things that happened in open. If I say things that did not happen in open, then it will be my word against the graves. Take a few years later, J.M. Karaoke is killed within Kingsway House, the original Nyati House. He's killed there. He's taken to Ngong. A few days later, his body is discovered. And then there is that whatever. What happens? His lawyer, personal lawyer, and a very close friend, appears from nowhere. and then he tells one of the widows to have access to. Then he meticulously checks the documents and takes documents that only he himself knows which document they are. He disappeared with the documents, and him being the personal lawyer to J.M. Kariuki and having disappeared with the documents, Njonjo swore to him publicly that at no time will he ever be a judge of the High Court of Kenya. Those days we had a High Court in Kenya next to Hilton Hotel, and we had a Court of Appeal for East Africa, which had no place to stay. When they were coming to hear appeal cases in Kenya, they would stay at the High Court. When they go to Tanzania, they would be at the High Court in Tanzania, and so on and so forth. If you know the East African Parliament, maybe you have an idea of what I'm saying. So JM's personal lawyer burned the papers, never to be seen again. Recently, and then the new constitution, the same lawyer applied to be a judge. I can't recall whether it was the court, whether he was applying to be a judge of the High Court or the Court of Appeal or Supreme Court, but he applied to be a judge. And during the questioning, he was asked if it is true, because that is what the widow said, and it is very easy for you just to say, wananidanganyia. But he was asked during the interview to be a judge under the Judicial Service Commission. He was asked, is it true that you went and got the document and disappeared with it? He said, it is true, and I went and destroyed the documents. He was asked, why did you destroy the document? He said that J.M. Kariuki was a national figure, a person who was loved and a person who, but there were some aspects of his character which he did not, which he himself, as J.M. Kariuki's personal lawyer and as J.M. Kariuki's friend, he felt that he wanted to preserve the picture that J.M. had of Kenyans, and that is why he took away the and destroyed the documents that would have. And he was asked, which type of documents would that be? And he mentioned that their documentation to do with taxation or something like that. It is there in records when the Judicial Service Commission was interviewing him. And that is why he was never made a judge of the Kenya. But I understand he may have ended up as a judge of the East Africa Court, or the new East African Court. And lastly, but not least, is my alumni at Bungoma High School. I was there many years ahead of him, Jacob Juma. Jacob Juma, immediately he died. Within minutes, a billionaire ordered for a very good coffin in London. Within minutes. And that billionaire, being of the same tribe with Jacob Juma's widow, went there and said that, can we go to his private offices in the house so that I can check on a certain files. The widow went there, opened the place for him. He took some files. They were never to be seen. When the widow had completed her mourning period, some lawyers and family advisors, close friends, came and advised her that since Jacob Juma was dead, they wanted to start a transaction where everything that is registered in Jacob Juma's name be transferred and given it to her name. So she was asked if there was any documents that they were there so that they can now take and start the process of changing the ownership. And when they did that, she took out everything, she handed over to them, and then she said she remembers there are some files that the billionaire had taken, and could they check it with him. And when they checked with the billionaire, you see, if the billionaire would have refuted the thing, it would be a case between him and the widow. But he said, ndio nilichukua, mutadu. And then you want to tell me this billionaire is not connected to Jacob Juma's death?